Hi everybody. I started a video and my mic was off. Uh, which leads me to what I wanted to talk about today. A good start. Um, I'm a huge believer in uh in failing. Failure is an important learning tool. And one of the things that I have a huge problem with is our students are coming to us afraid to fail. They are afraid to screw up. And they can't be. They can't be afraid to screw up. We have to make failure an acceptable part of the learning process. We tell them it's okay to make mistakes, but we make failure this huge fearful thing. And at least in my line of work, it's like you're not a brain surgeon. Nobody's life is on the line as long as you follow the safety protocols. What we do is fun. We get to create. We get to make art. That's what could be better. You can't get this wrong. You may find something doesn't work, but there's no wrong here. There's only you figuring out better ways to do it. So, um, I think it's important to share your failures with your students. I think it's important for me to share my failures with my students. Things that don't work, things that just fall flat. I mean, there are some things that fall flat, and I'm going to talk about one of them today. So we've got this big show that's going to Indiana, and this was the first year that I've been designing lights for a really long time, but I've done lights and sets at the same time. Also not really a problem, but I have never done both of those things on one of our traveling shows that we've put up for a national competition. And I bit off more than I could chew. It wasn't necessarily that I wanted to bite off more than I could chew. It's that coming back out of COVID, um, we don't have the resources to. We didn't have the resources to find somebody and bring a new lighting designer on for this project. Um, so you do what you have to do and you make it work. So we're going to be going into this trip. I was not happy with the design. For a lot of reasons. It didn't have my full attention. Um, I wanted to change a whole lot of the palette. I would have done something I will do something completely different with the gobos the next time around. So it wasn't horrible. I did not like it. And I think my director was very kind when she said it looked good. I don't think it looked good. But it got the job done. We got accepted, so I get 2 more chances to fix it. So anyway, we're looking at, as I've said before, we are not going to be on our home base theater for our remounts. Because of construction, we will be moving to a theater that's a little bit smaller. It's going to be very tight, so we have to figure all that out. And completely different lighting, different space, different lighting. And I got all of the paperwork from the Musical Arts Center in Indiana, and I sat down to start planning. Because what I will end up doing is I will take their plot, I will look at our cues, I will figure out where to plug in their instruments into our cues so that all of the cues work, and then I will build the light plot for the space, our interim space, based on what we're going to be doing in Indiana, not on what we did at home, if that makes sense. So that we get as close as possible while we're rehearsing and we don't have to do as much tweaking when we get there, because we only have 4 hours on the stage. Once we get there, the day we perform, we'll have 4 hours on the stage to get ready, and then we'll perform, which is not a lot of time. And that's dropping gels, focusing the specials, dropping gobos, making whatever color changes we're going to. We have a limited number of instruments that we get to do that with. I think they said it's 5 per position, so we won't mess with any. There are several front of house positions. We'll use one of them, the specials that are allotted on one of them, and then the overstage electrics. But I sat down with the light plot, and granted, I've been reading light plots since I was like 15, 14. So it's not like I didn't know what I was looking at. And it's not like I didn't have access to Vectorworks, because I have Vectorworks. I opened it up and I can zoom in. I can look at what I need. I just, my head just stopped. My brain just stopped. And I had this moment of panic that I had no clue what I was looking at, even though I knew exactly what I was looking at. And I I had just this moment of panic that my brain didn't work anymore, that you know, I had this horrible feeling that I was in the early stages of Alzheimer's, because I suddenly couldn't get my brain to remember things that I'd been doing for a living for 25 years. So it was just a monstrous fail for me at that moment. And I have a wonderful husband who, said, put it down, walk away. And I don't know what it was about the day, or if I was tired, or um, I don't know what it was about that moment that made it incredibly difficult to look at something that I knew and that I know I knew and not be able to think. And that's a really scary moment, quite honestly. But I think part of it is this year, the past several years have been stressful. I have not had to do this for anybody but myself, really. We've not hired outside lighting designers since pre-COVID. And I just think that I got suddenly very overwhelmed with everything that I had taken on to make this trip happen, which we haven't done for 5 years, 4 years. So walk away for a minute. I walked away. Actually, I walked away for a couple of days. I put it down. I didn't think about it for a couple of days. And I came back to it ready to take it apart and look at where I was running into problems, what I was scared of, because really that's what it got down to, is what was I scared of, and figure out how to get around that so I could do my job. So, it's a large space. It's probably, the inventory is about 3 times the size of our inventory. Okay, so it's a lot of lights. There is nothing about it that isn't manageable, as long as I do all of the management before we go into the space. You don't want to get there and then try to figure that out. So I looked through all of the information that I was provided, and I realized I was missing a chunk of information. Now, I know they have not provided us with dimmer numbers. Those of you who know what that means, you know what it means. Those of you that don't know what it means, it's essentially the number that you have to assign to a channel, so that when you punch in on the board or bring up on the fader, hey, I want channel 1 to come up. If you don't tell the computer what number is assigned to channel 1, then nothing happens. So we don't have those yet, and that's fine. They're going to get them to us, like, apparently in a week or so, and that's just thrilling to me, because in the past it's been a few days before the festival that we would get those. I think the earliest we got them was a week. So I'm very excited that we've got them months in advance. The other thing we didn't have, I knew we weren't going to have the dimmer numbers, that's fine. The other thing we didn't have is they gave us the lighting areas. So you get a ground plan, and then like little circles for where they have their lights focused. But there isn't listed either in the paperwork or on the plot. It says in the paperwork this is front light, but it doesn't say what area it's assigned to. Now, I can make an educated guess as to what area it's assigned to, but I don't want to guess when I only have 4 hours to deal with when we get there. So I was trying to guess, and that was making me panicky. And so then my whole brain just shut down. So I have since requested the information. Hopefully they will send it with the dimmers. That would be awesome. Um, and we'll get that figured out. So when you're faced with that kind of failure moment and panic moment, learn from it. Learn from it. Um, there's always an opportunity to go back and figure out what you did wrong. Um, and that is how we grow. That is how we get better. And and I feel so relieved. It's not it isn't, oh God, I'm so stupid. I should have figured that out. No, it's, oh, okay. It's relief that, yeah, I can pick this apart and figure out what I need to know. And it's also, okay, next time I'm going to look for this. I know what I need, so I'm going to make sure I have all the information instead of trying to and just jump into it all without looking for that. Um, so yeah, those those failure moments are enlightening as much as we don't want them to be, and it would be great if everything worked perfectly the first time. First of all, life would be very boring that way. We would never discover anything that way, and we would never have, these stories we could tell about ourselves when we go, "Oh my God, I was such an idiot." So, um, thanks, and you guys have a great night. If you are following along for ITF, um, it is hashtag FESFest22, THESFEST 22. Uh, and that will give you everybody, like nationwide, what everybody's doing to get ready for the festival. It's a lot of fun to watch, a lot of vocals. And check out our KUSD Fine Arts, or KUSD Theater Arts, KUSD Theater Arts Facebook page, KUSD Fine Arts if you want to buy tickets. Yeah, follow along. Thanks. You guys have a great night.